You've been asked to make a rectangular prism that is 1 by 2 by 3 inches. So the first thing that you're going to do once you've opened FabLab ModelMaker is to choose the shape on the left that looks closest to a rectangular prism. In this case, it's the cuboid. I'll drag my object to the center of the screen and begin stretching it out so that its length or depth is about 1 inch, its width is about 2 inches, and its height is about 3 inches. Since these are not exact measurements, what I'm going to do is highlight the object by clicking on it, and then look at the Edit menu at the very top of the screen. After clicking Edit, I'll click on Parameters, and then I will tell it to have the width be set to 2 inches, the height set to 3 inches, and the depth or length set to 1 inch. When I apply it, it will automatically resize my figure so that it is 1 by 2 by 3 inches. The next thing I'll do as I get ready to explore its properties is consider different ways that I can do this. One way is to use handles. By clicking the rotate button that looks like a semicircle with an angle on it near the top of the screen, I can rotate my object on a given axis. So I can rotate it around to look at its properties, or if I click on a different face, I can rotate it a different direction. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to figure out, though, as I'm spinning around the object, which faces I've counted and which I haven't. One strategy that can help by that is to color different faces. So near the bottom left of the screen, you can show the color palette. I can either click on a color. First I want to return to the arrow. I can either double click the color and it will change the entire shape's appearance, or I can click on the select tool and select a given face to color. Another way that I can change colors of faces is by returning to the standard arrow tool and dragging a color onto that particular face. However, right now I can only see 3 of the faces of my object, and I know that there are more. So there are a few things that I can do to explore this. I can either use the rotate tool to rotate my shape so that I can then see different faces that were unexamined before. Or I can also change the view or my perspective. So what I can do is here in the lower ribbon, we've begun in the lower left corner view, but I can also look at it from a tilted front view as though I'm looking down on it. I can look at a front view, a right side view, a top view, or I can imagine that the shape were placed on top of the earth. The last thing that I can do to explore different faces of my shape is to use these tools to rotate my perspective, either changing all different directions so that I can then color different faces to explore them a bit better, or I can also just turn in one direction at a time, horizontally or vertically. The last thing that I want to do is to see what this object might look like when I fabricate it. So I can click the Edit and View or Output tab here in the top right corner, and I'll close my color palette to get a little bit more room. But what it shows me is what my shape would look like in its net form, or if it were stretched out for me to fold and assemble like a box. I can take a look at how many faces my object has and how many vertices and edges, but I want to think to myself, does this really make sense with what the object will look like when it's assembled? Tell me what you think.